Who was the real Robin Hood? Now, I have to apologise. You see, that intro was a little bit misleading because when it comes to identifying the real Robin Hood, it is simply impossible to single out just one individual. And I'll tell you why. It's because the fictional Robin Hood character from the stories hasn't always been the same person. No, there were in fact multiple different versions of the Robin Hood character throughout the centuries. He's even appeared in different timelines. So with all these facts in mind, there couldn't possibly just be the one real Robin Hood. It's far more likely that there were several different men throughout the medieval period who inspired the various different fictional versions of the Robin Hood character. And when we cross-reference the stories with historical record, we find out that that is very much the case. So, historically speaking, there was more than one Robin Hood. And these real Robin Hoods certainly weren't robbing the rich to give to the poor. In fact, some of these lads were straight up savage thugs. So who were the real Robin Hoods? Firstly, not all of these men were actually called Robin Hood, so we'll start with the historical non-Robins. We have Hereward the Wake. He was an Anglo-Saxon nobleman who fought against Norman tyranny. Then we have Fulk Fitzwarren, another nobleman. He had a real-life rivalry with Prince John. Then we have Roger Godberd. He worked at the garrison of Nottingham Castle, after which he went on a massive crime spree with his merry band of lads. Then, of course, we have the real Robin of Locksley, Robert Fitzodo. He was a knight and lord of Locksley Manor in Warwickshire, and an honourable mention for Willikin of the Weald, otherwise known as William of Cassingham. Now we're moving on to the historical Robins, the men who were actually called Robin Hood. We have Robin Hood of Linton, and he was quite possibly the first historical Robin Hood, as he appears on records as Hobhod, which is almost like an archaic way of saying Robin Hood. It could have very well even been pronounced as Robnod. Then we have Robin Hood of Wetherby. Again, he appears on records as an outlaw and as an evildoer, and he would eventually meet his end at the hands of the Sheriff of Yorkshire, who would incidentally end up becoming the Sheriff of Nottinghamshire. But that's a story for another time. And then last but not least, we have your lad here, Robin Hood of Wakefield. Yes, I did exist. I was a 14th century yeoman forester living in Wakefield with my lass Matilda, and my exploits helped to inspire the original Robin Hood stories, the early ballads.